Carlo Ancelotti has faced the best players of his generation. He's lifted Champions League trophies, survived locker rooms full of egos, and prepared teams for nights when one mistake meant elimination. But when he talks about Messi and Ronaldo, his voice changes. Not louder, lower. Because according to Ancelotti, these two legends don't destroy you in the same way. One beats you without saying a word. The other makes every second feel like a disaster. So here's the real question no one dares to ask. What is more astonishing for a coach? A player who controls the game in silence, or one who turns time itself against you? Today, we're going to break down Ancelotti's rare confession and why it changes the Messi versus Ronaldo debate forever. Before we go any further, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because what you're about to hear is not just another fan debate. It's a confession, a quiet one, and that's exactly why it's dangerous. To understand why this confession matters, you first have to understand who's speaking. Carlo Ancelotti is not a coach who chases headlines. He's a survivor of the highest levels of football. 5 Champions League titles, decades inside elite locker rooms, and direct encounters with nearly every modern legend. When Ancelotti speaks, it's never to impress, it's to explain, and he has faced both. Lionel Messi, the player who, at 38 years old, was still leading every attacking metric with 71 goals in a single season, goals and assists combined, while playing deeper, slower, almost detached from time itself. And Cristiano Ronaldo, the ultimate pressure machine, a finisher who built his legacy on desperate movement, aerial dominance, and seasons where 60 goals felt normal, even when defenses knew exactly what was coming. On paper, their numbers overlap: goals, records, trophies, longevity. But Ancelotti insists the real difference is invisible on stat charts. Messi doesn't speed the game up, he absorbs it. Ronaldo doesn't wait for the moment, he hunts it. So when Ancelotti prepared his teams, it wasn't just about choosing formations. It was about choosing which kind of fear his players could survive. And that raises a deeper question. Is football more cruel when you're dismantled slowly, or when you're chased by the clock? There was no press conference, no dramatic quote up front, just one night that refused to leave Ancelotti's memory. He later admitted that when he was preparing for Messi, his biggest fear wasn't the pace or the power, it was the disappearance. Messi could vanish for 10-15 minutes. No shots, no tackles, no noise. Players on the bench would relax, defenders would step up, midfielders would breathe again, and that's when it happened. One touch to accelerate the game, one glance to aim the defense, one pass that arrived before anyone even realized a decision had been made. Ancelotti said the damage was psychological. Because when Messi strikes, you don't feel beaten by strength. You feel out-informed, like the game was decided somewhere else before you even noticed. Ronaldo, on the other hand, never allowed that illusion. Against him, Ancelotti described a completely different kind of tension. There was no silence, no pause. Every cross felt dangerous. Every corner felt like a warning. Every minute without a goal felt temporary. It wasn't safe. Ronaldo didn't disappear. He stared at time. Ancelotti revealed that his defenders didn't ask, "Where is he?" They asked, "How long can we survive?" That was the moment Ancelotti understood something fundamental. Messi kills your confidence. Ronaldo drains your endurance. And suddenly, the debate wasn't about who was better. It was about which kind of defeat hurts more. When Ancelotti finally put the difference into words, he didn't talk about trophies. He didn't talk about Ballon d'Ors. He talked about control. Messi as he. Ancelotti explained it doesn't need the game to be fast. He needs it to be his. That sentence changes everything. Messi's dominance isn't built on constant action. It's built on manipulation. He slows the rhythm until defenders stop reacting and start guessing. And the moment you guess, you're already late. That's why Ancelotti said Messi wins in silence. There's no alarm, no visible explosion, just the sudden realization that your shape is broken, and you don't know when it happened. Ronaldo is the opposite. Ancelotti described him as a problem that never sleeps. Ronaldo doesn't control the rhythm. He accelerates anxiety. His movement forces defenders to make decisions every second: jump or stay, step out or hold the line. And the more you hesitate, the more dangerous he becomes. That's why Ronaldo wins through obsession. He turns football into a countdown. Every minute without a goal feels borrowed. Every clearance feels temporary. Ancelotti admitted that. Against Ronaldo, his tactical plans were clear, but fragile. Because Ronaldo doesn't break systems slowly. He breaks them the moment concentration drops for half a second. And that's the cruelest difference of all. Messi makes you doubt your intelligence. Ronaldo makes you doubt your endurance. So the question shifts again. Would you rather lose because you were outplayed or because you were outlasted? Before Messi and Ronaldo, football prepared for stars. After them, football prepared for scenarios. Ancelotti pointed out something few coaches say out loud. You don't just defend against these players, you defend against what they do to time. With Messi, preparation became philosophical. Coaches didn't ask, how do we stop him? They started asking, how long can we deny his control? Midfields got restructured. Lines dropped deeper. Defenders were told, don't run, don't lunge, don't stare. Because Messi doesn't punish mistakes immediately. He punishes patterns. If your shape was imperfect for 5 minutes, he would find the failure. If your midfield lost focus, Messi would turn one touch into inevitability. Ronaldo changed preparation in the opposite direction. Against him, teams weren't afraid of structural collapse. They were afraid time would run out. Every cross became a threat. Every rebound became chaos. That's why Ancelotti said Ronaldo forced defenders to play with time in their heads. You can defend perfectly for 89 minutes and still lose. Historically, legends were creators or finishers. Messi and Ronaldo erased that separation, but in different ways. Messi became the system itself. Ronaldo became the stress test for every system. And here is where Ancelotti's confession turns brutal. He admitted younger players suffered differently. Against Messi, they felt confused. Against Ronaldo, they felt exhausted. It's not just greatness, it's legacy. One changed how football thinks. The other changed how football feels. And the most astonishing part? Coaches all over the world still prepare their teams using lessons learned from them, even when neither is on the pitch. Ancelotti made one final distinction, and it almost never appears on television. He said the real difference between Messi and Ronaldo was revealed before the match even started. Against Messi, players asked questions. Too many questions. Should I step up? Should I follow him? Should I pass him on? Messi infected the locker room with doubt, not panic, uncertainty. Midfielders feared losing structure. Defenders feared getting embarrassed by one touch. And once doubt enters a team, discipline walks out the door. Against Ronaldo, the questions got simpler. Players didn't ask how. They asked how long. How long until the cross arrives? How long until the second ball drops? How long until one mistake turns fatal? Ancelotti said this created a different kind of suffering, not confusion, fatigue, mental fatigue, the kind that makes legs heavy in the 80th minute, the kind that turns discipline into hesitation. And that's why Ancelotti believes this rivalry will never be repeated. Modern football is obsessed with systems, pressing data. But Messi and Ronaldo didn't simply fit into systems, they defeated them. One dismantled intelligence, the other dismantled will. Future stars may score more goals, run faster, be stronger. But to dominate football in two opposite psychological dimensions at the same time, Ancelotti doubts it. Because fear, he insists, is the rarest currency in football, and Messi and Ronaldo mastered it in two completely different languages. What makes Ancelotti's confession even more unsettling is this: the numbers back it up. When analysts looked deeper into Messi's peak season, they noticed something unusual. His most decisive matches weren't the ones where he touched the ball the most. They were the ones where he touched it at the right moments. Messi didn't dominate possession, he dominated decisions. Teams adjusted their defensive blocks just to remove one passing lane. Fullbacks stayed 5 meters deeper than usual. Midfielders stopped pressing, not because they were tired, but because pressing Messi blindly was suicide. And still, Messi kept being involved in more than 70 goals per season, often walking, scanning, calculating. Ronaldo's numbers told a different kind of horror story. Defenders could do everything right, win duels, win clearances, keep shape, and still lose because Ronaldo's efficiency punished time itself. Statistically, many of his most important goals came late, after pressure, after repetition, after endurance had already been drained. Ancelotti once explained that this forced a radical change in match management. Against Ronaldo, you didn't manage space, you managed energy. Substitutions were held back. Fullbacks were rotated earlier. Wingers were told to defend less, not to attack, but to survive. And here's the cruel truth: Messi breaks your plan. Ronaldo breaks your limits. One forces you to admit you were outplayed. The other forces you to admit you couldn't fight anymore. That's why Ancelotti rejected the idea of a simple comparison. Because football isn't only about what happens on the pitch. It's about what happens inside a player's head when the match refuses to end. And maybe that's the last lesson modern football still hasn't learned. You can prepare tactics, you can train systems, but when a player controls silence or weaponizes time, no plan survives untouched. What may be the most uncomfortable part of Ancelotti's confession isn't about the past, it's about the present. Even today, when coaches prepare for big matches, many of their instincts were shaped by years of surviving Messi and Ronaldo. Ancelotti admitted that young defenders are still trained using the same warnings. Don't commit too early. Don't switch off late. Don't assume danger is gone. Those rules weren't written for average players. They were written by Messi and Ronaldo. Messi taught football a brutal lesson. Control doesn't need speed. Ancelotti explained that modern players are now judged less by how much they run and more by how much they see. Scanning, pausing, waiting. All habits born from years of trying to understand how Messi dismantled teams without ever raising his voice. Ronaldo taught the opposite truth. Pressure never expires. Fitness programs changed. Recovery cycles changed. Late-game concentration became a science. Because Ronaldo proved dominance doesn't fade with time. It feeds on it. Ancelotti went even further. He suggested modern defenders suffer from a silent inheritance. They're trained to fear two kinds of threats. The threat of silence, where danger hides until it's too late, and the threat of obsession, where danger grows the longer you resist. That's why Ancelotti believes football hasn't replaced Messi and Ronaldo. It has only adapted around their absence, and maybe that's their greatest victory. They didn't just win matches, they rewrote instincts. They changed how players think at 0-0, how defenders breathe at 1-0, how coaches behave when time turns cruel. Legends fade, habits remain, and in football, habits are forever. So, when Carlo Ancelotti finally broke his silence, he didn't win an award. He revealed something far more uncomfortable. Messi and Ronaldo weren't competing on the same battlefield. One shattered the game by controlling it. The other shattered it by suffocating it. Messi made football feel inevitable. Ronaldo made it feel urgent. And maybe that's why this debate will never end. Because it's not about numbers. It's about which kind of fear you think is harder to survive. Now it's your turn. Would you rather face a player who defeats you without noise or one who turns every second into pressure? Tell us in the comments. Like the video if this perspective surprised you. Subscribe to the channel if you want more stories. Football is never explained like this, because some legends don't just win matches, they change how the game feels forever.